It's been 4 years since we last caught up with Mary Hutton. She's the Perth grandmother who has spent 2 decades saving Asia's endangered bears. Well, she's still at it, and sadly, they need her more than ever. Who's this little fella?
Hello, darling.
This is Cambodia Rescue number 183.
Hello.
This tiny cub, nicknamed Blue, is lucky to be alive. The sun bear was just 3 months old when he was found hidden in a blue plastic tub after a raid on a wildlife trader's house. So how was he when you found him?
He was okay, but he was quite malnourished.
While Cambodia is leading the fight against bear trafficking in Asia, sadly, the trade is still thriving.
The biggest threat by far is the illegal trade in their body parts for medicine, also illegal hunting and the loss of their habitat.
Blue is the 9th orphaned cub to arrive at Cambodia's purpose-built sanctuary this year. The ever-expanding facility now home to over 130 moon and sun bears.
There's no way that his mother would have abandoned him at this age, and so the chances are that she's been killed and the hunters got a cub.
Before being rescued, Blue's future was grim.
He would most likely have been sold as a pet initially because he was young, and then they get too big to handle, and that's when they get sold into the medicine trade or to the restaurant trade.
But life is about to get a whole lot better, thanks to the tireless work of Perth grandmother Mary Hutton.
I saw something on television about the bears in Asia being kept in bile farms. They were suffering every day when the bile was extracted from the gallbladder because it was a long hypodermic needle that went right through the wall of the stomach into the gallbladder, and it was extremely painful. And it affected me, what I saw that day.
That was more than 20 years ago and the start of Mary's quest to save Asia's endangered bears.
Although it's miles away, this is where the bears live and this is where they're exploited. We might be isolated, but we're not cut off to the knowledge of what happens.
Mary set up wildlife charity Free the Bears in 1995 and 2 years later opened a safe home for rescued bears in Cambodia. Many of the animals that wind up at the sanctuary have suffered horrific physical and psychological harm.
You can see the claw here is twisted over, which if you go back to the digit would have been a little desiccated digit. Or it's quite possible that this is where the snare wrapped around.
This young moon bear cub, called Gobro, is having his first health check since rangers brought him in 3 months ago.
It's likely this little fella would have ended up in a bear farm or a bile extraction facility.
It costs about $3,000 a year to care for each bear, so fundraising is always on Mary's mind. Gobro doesn't know it yet, but while he's sleeping, we're using his paw prints to bring in some cash.
This is for people that give to our crowd-raising campaign to build a big new bear house.
That's like he's waving. A key part of the team's work here is educating the next generation about animal rights and sustainable ways to live.
They're just taking a hammer in the wild, people laying snares and capturing them because they're worth a lot of money. They're worth more dead than alive.
We've got the problem of the poachers yesterday, we've got it today, and we'll have it tomorrow. And all the time it's going on, we'll have to look after these bears.
It's been 6 years since I first met a pair of very special bears. Safe to say Tasma's doing very well. Granted, I have snacks. But she's very content here. How's Rove doing, should I ask?
He's doing really well.
The cubs have come a long way since my last visit, but today it's a shy newcomer who's caught my attention.
She hasn't got a name yet. I'm kind of wondering whether Ruby might work for her.
Well, I think it would.
I think it's a nice name.
Got to complete the set, don't we?
Exactly.
And while the future looks bright for Ruby and her friends, for your claws, and you're so strong, Mary says there are so many others that still desperately need her help. Do you think your work will ever be done?
No, I don't think so. Not on a personal level. It's just the tip of the iceberg, what we've done. Until we can stop the poaching, we're only halfway there.
If that isn't a perfect example of when people sit at home and see even a story we would present on this show and go, but I'm one person, what can I do? Well, there's your answer right there.
It's remarkable, isn't it, when you see women like Mary just give their entire lives over something like that. It just staggers me when I see people
And a
like
lot of the donations just come from everyday people through their website. And I was there in 2008 and there was one bear enclosure that they have, and there's a whole expanse of land for the bears to run around in. And now they're about to build number 8, and it's an incredible job, and all from people like you watching at home who donate. So it's a great cause.
You can't not love that.
No, exactly.
Yeah,
a much better life, but obviously still a problem. And you know, help wherever you can. So if you want more info on Free the Bears, just head to our website.
Was
take a break now?
Was Ruby Rove and Tasma's baby?
That's not
bear?
creepy. They're brother and sister. Rove and Tasma are brother and sister. No, she was saved. She was found. She escaped from a cage that someone had in their house, and she scaled a 9-foot wall and jumped into a hotel swimming pool to try to get out.
Really?
And was saved by a wonderful tourist who saw it happen and took a photo of her and put it on Facebook and said, if anything happens to this bear, I'm catching the people out right now.
Hope you don't have that kind of trouble with Ruby at home.
My Ruby, she uses a rope ladder. She's got incredible dexterity.
Back in a moment.